Good morning. I am Steve. This is my rock and metal life, and it is the day after a show once again. I'm on a pretty good run here where we're getting some good shows here, there, and everywhere. And this one, LA Guns, as you can clearly see, they came to my town. I did not have to fly to Las Vegas. This was a really good deal. A Friday night, LA Guns in town. They're back. As anyone should know who's watching this, obviously they got Phil Lewis and Tracy Guns back in the band, and a very, very capable cast of characters with them. And they're touring their new record, the Black Diamonds record, and it was it was a good lively crowd. Tower Theater, maybe three quarters full, maybe a little bit more, a few hundred people. The Went over really good. A lot of singing along, a lot of fist pumping. Everybody, pretty happy. The LA Guns catalog is just, some pretty good times. Pretty good times going back to '88. Uh, so this is a band that I am pretty. Uh, to say they're in the inner circle is kind of an understatement. I go back a long ways with these guys. I remember when the first record came out in '88, and not even going to bother with all the Guns N' Roses, LA Guns crossover. We know Tracy and Axl Rose, were in the first version of Guns N' Roses. Fine. Okay, so Guns N' Roses goes that way, LA Guns goes that way. LA Guns comes out of the box just smoking with the debut album, and it's got like a punkish feel to some of the stuff, heavy feel to some of the stuff. Uh, that does great. That got on my radar right away. And then Cocked and Loaded comes out, and it's a little bit, I would say, like a little smoother, a little not maybe not quite as raw as the first record. Really, really good record, start to finish. And then 1991, they come out with Hollywood Vampires, which I just played start to finish when I got up this morning, and I really like that record. And I believe I've heard over the years something about, well, that record wasn't finished, or there's something they don't like about it. I can't remember what it was. Maybe the band wasn't in such a good place. I don't know. I can't remember. I dig that record, and it's got Over the Edge, which is in the Point Break movie, and not like in the background or anything like that. It's quite prominently in the movie, uh, and so that brings you up to 91, and then they come out with Vicious Circle in 94, and this is a good record, maybe a little bit harder, a little bit heavier. And Steve Riley's only on one track on drums. They got this guy Bones. He does, and Myron Grombacher from Pat Benatar's band. He's on four tracks on this thing. So pretty good record, but the tide's starting to turn right now. Things aren't going so well for the true believers here, and what happens next is kind of disappointing. Overall, we could mention this for any band. It gets tough. These guys really gotta, the ones that choose to stick with it, they gotta they gotta do it for the love of the music, and they did in various ways here. The next record that comes out, and I'm gonna pull this out here to prove that I have it. uh, the LA Guns, American Hardcore, and this is a detour. This does not sound like the Sunset Strip band that and why not? If Phil Lewis has left the band, and then they come up with this lineup here, which I don't know if I can do that. And I mean, it's Steve Riley and Tracy, and this thing's heavy, 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 and it's 1996, and it's probably not what the LA Guns fan base is looking for, but 96 is tough times, man. 96 is, you got to do what you got to do. And hey, man, I got the shirt. And so I didn't see them live, but I imagine I bought that off their website. I'm pretty sure I did. So you got this crazy heavy thing, and then a little bit after that, 98, Tracy Guns comes out with a solo record with a different singer. This thing's pretty heavy, and this is pretty rocking. Um, Boy, All Eyes Are Watching, Shit Kicker. That's one of my favorites on here. Torture Games kill machine, you know. So that's what Tracy's doing around this time. Phil's out there. I got just about everything these guys got involved in. You know, Filthy Lucre is Phil, and More Purple Than Black is Phil, and he's got Brent Muscat from Faster Pussycat there. So away we go. We got LA Guns is kind of split into parts, and Shrinking Violet comes out with Jizzy Pearl on vocals, which I have that as well. Pretty good record. A whole bunch of original stuff, and if you like Jizzy, you know, it's perfect. And Jizzy and Tracy, you know, really good collaboration there, those guys. They've got How Many More Times is the last track on there, Led Zeppelin. And I remember an interview where Tracy said, you know, the thing about me and Jizzy is, you know, we can just start jamming Led Zeppelin songs. Just go through the catalog, and, you know, they're both on point with that. And so that's cool. Good record. Again, we're sitting at 99. It's tough. Things are tough in 99. So then, if I got this right, Phil Lewis comes back, and they do Man in the Moon, in 2001. That's a pretty good one there. I don't know, Fast Talking Dream Dealer. That's a pretty good one. I remember Scream. I like Scream. The title track's the first song, Man in the Moon. It's a good record. Not you know, the greatest thing, doesn't really compare with the beginnings, but it's good. It's a good record. And then they come out with Waking the Dead, and this is Phil and Tracy yet again, and Steve Riley still. This thing rips. I mean, Don't Look at Me That Way. Okay, Let's Roll's pretty good. Waking the Dead is incredible. Revolution's fantastic. Frequency I like. Hellraiser's Ball. I mean, this is a good record. And I seem to recall at some point Tracy did an interview somewhere where he said, you know, we did everything right. We made a hard rockin' record. Everybody, we want our hard rock back. Well, we gave it to him, and it really didn't do a whole lot. And I'm with him, you know. I'm with him on that. There's a lot of good stuff that came out in this time period that just didn't get any attention. And, you know, the old formula of the record labels and the radio stations pushing whomever, and, you know, it's all gone. It's the Wild Wild West with everything digital, and people can steal your music if they really like it. And so, exit Tracy again. We get Tales from the Strip in 2005. So it's Phil, and it's not Tracy Guns, it's Stacy Blades. See that? And, you know, I saw him live with Stacy in the band a couple of times. He's good. He's really good. But then they go from 05 to 2012. They come out with Hollywood Forever. And Stacy Blades is on that one. And I do believe I got a shirt from that show. One of these. I don't know. I think it's that one with the colored logo. And then, you know, and they got, they did Rips the Covers Off in 04. They did Covered in Guns in 2010. And then Phil and Tracy got back together in, well, they put out The Missing Piece in 2017, and that thing was a long time coming. There was a period of time there where, a short period of time, and I believe I went to Irvine Meadows Amphitheater, one of those big festivals down there, and it was Phil Lewis and Tracy Guns of LA Guns was what it was officially billed, and there's the whole thing where Riley's got part of the name, and you know, I guess Tracy has the other part. I don't remember how it all went down. Honestly, I hate that stuff so bad. I try not to keep up. But when there's two LA Gunses out there touring, you know something's going on. And I try not to go too far into it, and, you know, who did what to whom, and, you know, if it's over money or this or that, it's just kind of too bad. But again, like, you know, I've said many times, it's not up to those guys to mend fences because I'm uncomfortable with them being fractured. If that's the way it is, that's the way it is. You know, I can't tell you to go, just go sit next to your coworker that you can't stand, you know. Come on, man. It'll be the best for everybody. If you don't, you know, if you don't want it, then, these bands, they all do whatever they do, and, we're the fans, and if we pull out the, yeah, well, I'm paying you guys so much money, well, then don't. I mean, it's that simple to me. And of course, there was that period, somewhere in there where I think Tracy left after that Waking the Dead. I think he left to go do this Brides of Destruction with Nikki Sixx, and then they did this one record, and Sixx went back to Motley Crue, and then they did another record, the second Brides of Destruction record, without Sixx, I believe, and that's a pretty good record. But anyway, so real quick here before I get to the show, I got, I got the Riley's Renegades. I've got Devil City Angels. I got I don't know when, I got Riley's Drumsticks I bought off the LA Gun site at one point. I got Home Video, the first one, Love, Peace, and Geese. And then this is with Ralph Saenz on the Wasted record, which I didn't mention Wasted because it's an EP that's in there, of course. They had him from, he was the David Lee Roth character in Atomic Punks for a while. And he came in there at one point, and they did Wasted, and then he left. Over the years, we got, this is from a show in Las Vegas. How am I going to do this without the light? So we got Jizzy and Tracy. Yeah, I think that's the best I can do right there. And is it the same show? Yes, it is. He's wearing the same thing. So this is Tracy in Las Vegas. Pinkies. I don't believe it's there anymore. This is that same night. Hey, look at that happy family. And we didn't know it that night, but a guy named Loud Sound Epicenter, he's actually in the picture. We didn't know Mrs. Rock and Metal Life was pregnant, but she was. And then this is our man Ralph. We went down to a place called Club 369 in Fullerton, and we caught a show there. Got to meet Ralph, and I think this picture is from when I saw Ralph with the Atomic Punks, and I took the picture and blew it up, and then I took it to the LA Gun Show later when he was in that band. And I don't know, the rest of these are kind of incidental and duplicates and all that. But yeah, there's all that. Oh, I got a framed Hollywood Vampires poster over there behind the wall, and point taken. I'm been pretty much all in on these guys, and I actually on the Hollywood Vampires tour, they opened up a really cool rock club here in Fresno, which was around for a few years, and it was kind of like the Whiskey. It was a place that, from its inception, they had shows left and right, like 3-4 shows a week, Y&T, Mr. Big, LA Guns, whomever. And it was actually, my wife was not my wife at the time, and she was one of my co-workers. And then I left that job, and, I went somewhere else, and then we ended up at that show. She was there, I was there, and then, that began whatever this is that we're doing here. Been married for 30 years, so, hey man, LA Guns, thanks. So anyway, the show last night, some good stuff. They came out with a song, Cannonball, which I believe is on Checkered Past. And that was one thing I was going to say. I have all this stuff, and I have Missing Piece, but I don't have the two most recent ones. Devil You Know, Checkered Past, and Black Diamond, so I'm 3 behind. Just one of those things. Their songs are all over the internet, and I watch and listen to them, and I like them quite a bit, but just don't have them. It's on the to-do list. But anyway, so I'm sorry I don't have the lowdown on that record or on that song. But that was when it came out. It was unfamiliar, and I've said this before. I think I said it with the Scorpions. Smart move, if you're going to play one of your newer songs that isn't like one of the classics that everybody knows, to open with it is perfect. If you pick the right song, if it's a smoking song, the crowd's all energized, you know, they can't believe they're seeing you. You're coming out on stage. There's all this energy. Perfect. And then we go into Electric Gypsy and Over the Edge. Okay. And those are, you know, those are just, you know, bedrock foundation, you know, LA Gun songs. So the place is just rocking. And then You Betray is a new one. And then they did One More Reason. And, you know, that's one of my favorites. And from One More Reason right into Sex Action. And, hey, you know, this is going well. This is going really well. And then they did another, like, new one, Speed. And I say new because it's not all the way back from the classic era, but that's, I do believe Speed's on The Missing Piece, is it not? Yeah. And so, you know, that, even though, like, most people were unfamiliar with it, it had the crowd going. I mean, it's a good sing-along, you know, pointing at him and all that. And then kind of a curveball for me, did not expect this. I Want to Be Your Man, which is, I mean, I dig that song. And it's kind of a simple one. And I remember the whole thing about the video. They shot it, I want to say it was like in City Hall of, like, Denver, you know, wherever they were at the time. But yeah, it's the last song on Cocked and Loaded. Dig that song, just kind of like a guilty pleasure, because it's so, you know, such a straightforward, you know, silly, you know, I want to be your man, you know, not, you know, it's not any kind of, you know, whole lot of love really or anything like that. It's just straightforward, and it went good. I was surprised. I didn't follow along with what they've been playing. I didn't check it out prior to the show, and, you know, that was cool. It was like the surprise of what they're playing next. Hey, you know, I've kind of lost that in recent years. But then they did Kiss My Love Goodbye, which is, you know, they could have played more Hollywood Vampires, if you ask me, but that's good. Over the Edge and Kiss My Love Goodbye. And then Never Enough, you know, that's a fantastic sing-along. And then Ballad of Jane and Rip and Tear. And, you know, pretty good show. You know, Rip and Tear, can't go wrong with that. The band was, like, really cohesive. Phil and Tracy interplay fantastic. The other guys, really high energy guys. We're talking about like Ace Von Johnson's the other guitar player, you know, and he's a good showman. He's a great guitar player. I saw him in Faster Pussycat years back. Sean Duncan on drums, Johnny Martin on bass. You know, these guys are, you know, they've been on the road, LA Guns, for a while, and they deliver. You know, they deliver the, you know, what you expect from the LA Gun songs and everything, and it's good. You know, a lot of these bands, you know, I'm always looking, you know, LA Guns, you know, they came along in the late 80s. You know, they don't, you know, they come after Motley Crue and certainly after Van Halen and that era. But, you know, like the rest of us, they're getting up there in age a little bit, and, you know, you don't really see it with them. You don't see, you know, and Phil, I don't remember how old Phil is. I believe he's a little bit older than the rest of the guys. 66 is what it says here. No problems, good shape, you know, skinny, you know, like he should be. And that was another point I wanted to make. At the very beginning, Phil was belting out the songs, man. I mean, his voice, he was pushing it, and it was perfect. Those first Cannonball, Electric Gypsy, and Over the Edge, I mean, whew. And then towards the end, I don't remember which song it was, but he did a scream that went on, you know, I mean, like high-powered scream of, you know, like 20 seconds, you know, so something absurd, you know. Couldn't believe he was doing it. And he did make a joke, which I was really happy to hear, about, hey, folks, we're sorry, our digital stuff's down, and, you know, our laptop crashed, so we can't loop the tracks. You know, we're sorry. We're just gonna have to do what we can up here, right? I'm just gonna have to sing all of this stuff, and everybody loved that, you know, because that was an obvious, you know, hey, Motley Crue, you know, it was that, you know. So, Yeah, good times, good show, decent crowd. Not quite as many people as when Wasp was there, but it was a good deal. A lot of dancing, a lot of singing, a lot of fist pumping. Uh, you know, great, great to see LA Guns still out there. They do not appear to be slowing down. They put out an album a year for a while here now since Phil and Tracy got back together. So yeah, I see 17, 19, 21, 23. So not really an album a year, I guess, but they're cranking out the material, and again, that's if they don't want to, that's fine. If they just want to do legacy stuff, then to me that's fine. If they want to put out records, I think that's fine, and I pick and pull the stuff I like from them. I'm probably gonna fill in the collection with these other ones over time, uh, but they're one of these bands that I've put a lot of time into them, because I just dug them from the get go, and then they persevered through the tough times, and like as a fan, you kind of had to persevere to keep up with what was going on, But that's cool, They got a bunch of live, Cocked and Loaded live. They got a bunch of they did Cocked and Reloaded, where they re-recorded Cocked and Loaded like sometime in the '90s. A bunch of compilations. So there's lots of stuff out there for them. Everybody doesn't have to have the whole shebang like I got, but there's plenty to listen to. The first 4 records, I just you can't go wrong with those. There's almost nothing to skip on any of those. So anyway, hey, good show, LA Guns. Thanks for coming to my town. Thanks for making it easy, for making it affordable. All the energy, crazy loud, ears ringing. Earplugs are sitting right there. Pulled them out, set them there, went out the door to the show. So and I'm right in front of Tracy, and so I got the ears a ringing this morning, but that's a good thing. So good job, LA Guns. You get a chance to see him, I'd say do it.